Welcome to the Micheaux Mission. Two men, one podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I am joined as always by my partner.
Hey, what's up? Holla at your boy. This is Len, aka the Bat Tribble.
And on this, the third week of March 2021, we will spend some time once again with Dee Rees. Director Dee Rees, who we talked about a few weeks ago with her debut. Tonight, we will talk about her sophomore effort, 2017's MUDBOUND. But before we get to, Sharon says she needs all the drinks after finishing the film. We'll talk about that. Yeah, it was quite a film. But we'll talk about all of that. We will talk about all the mud and where it was bound. But before we get to that, Lynn, I believe we have some business to conduct.
We do have business to conduct. First and foremost, we want to thank each and every one of you out there who are watching and listening to us, streaming live via StreamYard on our YouTube channel as well as on Facebook. Shout out to Aaron Fry, Sharon Eldridge, and Robert Monroe Jr. who hit up in the chat. How you doing, each and every one of you?
What's going on, folks? What's going
on? We got some emails, Vince.
Okay.
And one email is from a fan of ours at our old home in Philly Cam, DJ Joe Lex.
Hey, what's up, Joe Lex?
And what he emailed to us actually was a link, and then just in case we didn't hit the link, he actually sent us the full article from the Washington Post. It ran back in on March 15th. The forgotten film that paved the way to this year's Oscar contenders. It's a story by Rebecca Prime about Uptight, a movie before its time, spotlighting problems still plaguing the nation today. Uptight is a film that we reviewed some time ago here on the Micheaux Mission, and is indeed a slept-on piece of social commentary produced by Jules Dessin and starring Julian Mayfield and Ruby Dee, among many others, in this movie that Vince and I were huge fans of.
I was about to say we were both big fans. So certainly watch Uptight, folks, if you haven't.
Yeah.
And thank you, Joe, for sending that.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. And I actually put a link to the article in the Facebook group, in the Micheaux Mission Facebook group, so that everybody can check that out. The film is basically director Jules Dessin's remaking or reimagining of the 1935 film The Informer, which was a film about Irish revolutionaries. This film spoke about a black informer potentially against the civil rights revolution in the 1960s. Really a cracking like drama, and it's almost like it's like a drama noir almost.
Yeah.
You know,
and I remember the direction was amazing.
Yeah,
there were a lot of sort of flourishes. It was almost impressionistic.
Yes.
I remember because a lot of the film was from the point of view of a character who felt like the whole world was falling in on him. And you would see it through his eyes. It's very, very well done film. Very well done film.
Yeah. So thanks,
always
Joe.
glad to see that get more publicity.
Most definitely. We also got an email, Vince, from Inke King.
Hey, Inke King.
Hope I'm pronouncing that right. They wrote to us, was surprised that neither of you had seen Charles Burnett other films before reviewing To Sleep with Anger. Killer of Sheep is considered one of the great films of the last half of the 20th century, made a national treasure by the Library of Congress. Burnett's a remarkable filmmaker. In future, I hope you repair your lack of experience and watch his films, beginning with Killer of Sheep. I am certain you will be pleased and discover not only a great American filmmaker, but an artist and a poet.
Yeah. Killer of Sheep has been on our radar for a while now. I think it's at this point we might be saving Killer of Sheep.
Yeah.
For a special.
Well, first of all, the one thing we were actually surprised of is considering how heralded this film is, just as Inke points out, it's not streaming.
It's not streaming. Yeah.
So we actually had to buy a copy of the DVD for use when it does come time for us to review. And it actually was on the docket to review, and then we realized that it wasn't streaming, so we had to, call an audible. But now,
I feel like, not to cut you off, I feel like we were about to do it, and then the pandemic hit.
That's true. That is exactly true.
And now we're in the middle of a Ponderosa.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Vince. Yeah. That is exactly what happened, and that's why we weren't able to review that. But yeah, it definitely is a film that we want to take in. I know that I haven't seen it. Is it a film that you? Don't remember. Have you not seen the film, Vince?
Not only have I not seen it, but I had actually gotten to the point where now I don't want to watch it until we review it.
Right. Me same here.
Like I actually want to watch it fresh.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So the funny thing is I've had a couple of opportunities over the past few years, and I haven't watched it.
Yeah, because you kind of want to like just sink it in all at that one time. I feel you.
Right.
We also got a review, a 5-star review, Vince, on Apple Podcasts.
Okay.
From She Reels 99.
Hey, She Reels 99
says that the Micheaux Mission has quickly become one of my favorite podcasts. I love Vince and Len's insights, jokes, stories, and camaraderie. I also really enjoy the lives on Facebook and YouTube and the community vibe engendered there. I look forward to it every Tuesday evening. I have it on my calendar and usually have my Fat Bastard, Hennessy and White Zinfandel, at the ready. It is just the kind of COVID-era virtual party I need. They cover some movies I've seen, some I've sadly never even heard of. I'm always come away with new appreciations, new takes, and new films to add to my watch list.
Well, excellent. That is the second reference this episode to people having cocktails while they're listening to us. And I feel like the designated driver of a really good party.
And yes, I something told me, because I remember someone else mentioning Fat Bastard in the chat once before. And Sharon Eldridge is raising her hand and waving at us wildly. Yes, that's me. She Reels 99. So hey Sharon. Thank you for the great review. We appreciate it.
Drink up. Cheers.
And you know what? I will also say that there are times when I have to because I'm monitoring the show, but I also monitor the chat. And there are definitely moments when I have to laser focus in on what you're saying, Vince, because the chat is just going. And like Sharon said, the community vibe of everyone that is in the chat is insane, man. First of all, in the beginning of the show is all good because everybody's like, hey, Sharon, hi, Deborah, what's up, Rob? Hey, Aaron. They all just, they're checking in with one another. But then after that, they just start riffing, man. They've got a show going on all on their own. It is insane. It is funny. It is a good time. It really is a good time. So
excellent. I'm glad people are enjoying themselves.
So am I. Hey, Vince, have you ever watched a movie and it may be a good movie, it may be a bad movie or whatever, but the music of the movie is just so freaking amazing that is almost too cool for the film?
Next week, that is part of my lead-in to Bustin' Loose.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I have a lot of affection for Bustin' Loose, but a good 50% of it is the Roberta Flack soundtrack.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Wow. You know, you saying that just reminded me is that, you know, while I don't share the cultural resonance that everybody has for Claudine, I love the soundtrack to Claudine.
Of course.
I love it. I watched today Anatomy of a Murder.
Yeah, Duke Ellington.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Duke Ellington. Man, that soundtrack was bananas.
It took on a life of its own. I want to say it was either out of print or it wasn't on CD. Like there was something funky about it that I remember. The reason I remember is because I was working at the record store and I remember there was conversation.
Okay.
About Anatomy of a Murder, which I have to say, I think, because that's Otto Preminger.
Yes, Otto Preminger.
Yeah. I think I watched it because I was introduced to the soundtrack first. And there was some conversation around the soundtrack around me because it had either been reissued or like something happened and there was a lot of, Anatomy of a Murder. But yeah.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
I mean,
I wanted to say that too. Yeah.
It's literally like for the time that it was made, it's Law and Order SVU the movie. That's really what the movie is. But the soundtrack, oh my God, that joint was bananas, man. I was listening to that and I was lost. I was like, and it's its only soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the whole movie is because what's my man's name that does the design for the credits?
Oh,
the famous guy that does the credits.
Oh God, I can't remember. Now I'm going to look it up.
I was going to say look it up because I'm pretty sure he did the credits. That wonderful image of the outline
the body.
Of the body. Yeah.
Oh man.
You looking it up?
I'm going to see if I can find it.
Dan something?
I can't find it. It's not on here.
Oh, come on.
I'm looking. I'm Vince.
You're the old movie dude. You're supposed to know this kind of thing.
What do you want? I pulled Otto Preminger. I was with you on Otto Preminger. All right, now I'm looking, Vince.
Saul Bass.
What is it?
Saul Bass.
Oh, Sal Bass. Yes, Sal Bass. Yes.
Do Anatomy of a Murder?
I know. I'm looking it up. Credits for Anatomy of a. We're doing this in real time, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Micheaux Mission.
Yep.
Sal Bass. Yes, he did.
Yep. Saul Bass.
Yes, he did.
And that's one of the first films that I noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
And someone said, that's Saul Bass. So yeah, great film. Great. Now you're gonna make me go watch it.
Watch it, man. It's streaming on Turner Classic Movies right now.
Been 4 hours watching that damn Justice League. I should have been watching Anatomy of a Murder.
You know, you could have watched Anatomy of a Murder and still watched like 2 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Of Justice League. And for all of our nerdy missionaries out there, stay tuned for Trailer Talk when Vincent and I give you our thoughts on Zack Snyder's Justice League versus the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes. But yes, I love the music from Anatomy of a Murder.
Yeah, that's
Good stuff. That's good stuff.
I want to buy that soundtrack.
Yeah.
I want to get that. Speaking of, well, we weren't speaking of this, but speaking of news, that was a bad segue.
That was a rough segue right there.
Bad segue.
Speaking of subjects that involve words from the English language.
Speaking of something else, we have. Did you see, Vince, that executive producer Lee Daniels is developing for FX a series adaptation of The Spook Who Sat by the Door?
I did see that.
And
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Set to star in this adaptation is Wylan Noel, who was famously Daniel on Insecure, the first 3 seasons of Insecure, and also starred in the Photograph.
Yeah.
You said you're cautiously optimistic about this reboot.
You know, I think Lee Daniels has wildly varying degrees of quality in his product.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, but he's signing on as the executive producer.
And That's true.
Executive producer is usually the person that's kind of like making sure that things are spot on from a quality standpoint. He probably has his pulse on the look of it, and he is a dude with an eye. So I will give him that. How do you feel about them adapting what is, I think it's fair to say, a cult film almost, The Spook Who Sat by the Door? Well, even though they're adapting it from the actual novel.
I was about to say,
they're going to the source.
Right, the book is probably more well-known than the film. I think this is a good moment for that.
Me too.
You know, I think we are in this moment as it's funny. I was sort of low-key chastised by my wife a couple of days ago. Like, I think I have to watch Judas and the Black Messiah, even though I don't want to watch it. And I think we are in this moment, whether we're talking about Judas and the Black Messiah, whether we're talking about Ava DuVernay's work with the Central Park Five. I think there is an audience for a reckoning for these stories about what has happened with the culpability of the United States government or the police. And The Spook Who Sat by the Door, I think, fits into that very neatly. So I'm for it.
Yeah, I'm for it too. I am for it too. I am for it primarily because I actually was introduced to the movie before I was introduced to the book. So, and I have, let's say I have thoughts about the film, but my first thought about my biggest thought about the film is that I felt it was a missed opportunity. So I like the idea of them adapting this, and I do also like Wylan Noel. I've seen him every time I've seen him. I've enjoyed his work. So I right now they're only making a pilot, and then we'll see if it gets picked up for a series. And I hope it comes out well, because I would like. I think it's a story that needs to be told, and I would like to see him. I think he definitely has the chops to be like a leading actor. So
I like him too. And much like you, I'm glad he's getting work.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah,
it's pretty dope. Also, last piece of news that I saw in the Facebook group that the people hit us up on, and all of our missionaries, who thank you for sharing all the news that you do and all of the like postings and Hollywood's going on and ons. There's a recent interview with the Hollywood Reporter, I believe, with Debbie Allen. just talking about her career, talking about her, how she has been able to maintain her Debbie Allen Dance Academy in these days of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And they also dropped a little bit of news behind the attempts to reboot A Different World and the problems that they've run into, which you can imagine all stem down to the creative force behind the original A Different World, and that was Mr. Bill Cosby.
Lynn, it broke my heart. I saw the headline and I read it so fast that I didn't see the almost. So like what I saw was Debbie Allen and Issa Rae to
reboot A Different World.
Different World. And I was so excited when I read it, and then I saw the almost.
Yeah.
And then I read it and it broke my heart.
Yeah.
I'm 90% sure we've talked about this on here because I'm not a fan fiction person. But if I was, like, I have an entire fan fiction of a reboot of Different World in my head at all times.
Really?
Dude, we are, and I think we're getting away from, but when I started, we were actually far enough away that the child that Whitley was pregnant with would be going into his or her freshman year.
That's right. We did talk about this. That's right.
And I was like, Freddie can teach. She can be a prop in the English department. And which is funny because Cree Summer played an evil version of that on Queen Sugar last week. Like he played an evil professor on Queen Sugar, and I thought Ron could still be living in the area, and somebody like I have all like, well, it broke my heart that it doesn't look like it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I know. That is a shame, but unfortunately it's to be expected. The people are very leery about putting money behind something that has Bill Cosby's name attached to it, and not for nothing, I can understand he probably doesn't want to detach his name from it.
Look, I've said over the past few months that the one thing that has made me happy, appropriately enough, talking about Debbie Allen and Debbie Allen's sister, I am so happy that as a community we swooped in and said you can't have Felicia Rashad. Right. Like I love how Felicia Rashad is around. And no one is like, oh, hey, Felicia Rashad don't have nothing to do with this. Yeah. So it's a shame for a lot of different reasons.
It is. But you know what?
And it makes me sad.
As much as it makes me sad and as much as it's a shame, there's also a part of me that, am fine with some things just being what they are. You know what I mean?
Right.
And and to me, the reimagining or rebooting of A Different World, some could say is Dear White People or Grownish,
Sure. So certainly that's in both of those shows' DNA.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine with it. All right. Deborah Battle. Hey, Deborah. Says that she loves fan fiction. She has an idea in her head as well.
There you go.
There you go. And Sharon Eldridge says, man, I need to start watching Queen Sugar. Let me tell you, Vince, I was on the phone last night. I called a friend of mine last night, and I said, hey, what you doing? And she said, oh, I just finished, season whatever of Queen Sugar. She then proceeded nonstop to give me a dissertation, an hour-long dissertation of what's going on in Queen Sugar, how
That's
much
right.
she loves Queen Sugar, who's her favorite character in Queen Sugar, who can die in Queen Sugar,
Oh,
who
no.
can get it in Queen Sugar.
Oh, no.
I literally just, my Bluetooth died in the middle of her dissertation, and I had to finish it on the speakerphone.
Yeah. Yeah, I've not started this season yet.
People love themselves some Queen Sugar.
Hey, man, look. We were early adopters. You know I love some Queen Sugar.
I know you love yourself some Queen Sugar.
Queen Sugar. Shout out to our boy Omar. Keep doing your thing, brother.
That's right.
Yeah.
My man now. All right. And George Cremona said he's actually on a season 3 rewatch of Different World.
So y'all trying to get me pulled into this. I'm not going to get pulled in. I will say this, and this is where I'm going to get in trouble because, I actually go right to the third rail, and I'm still watching The Cosby Show. I know we're not really supposed to say that, but I am. I am really enjoying like the later seasons. Like one of my favorite later season episodes was on last night. And in my house, like when Vanessa goes to see The Wretched in Baltimore.
Oh, I think I remember that. Yes.
That shuts down House Williams. Like House Williams shuts down. Like it comes on and it says directed by Malcolm Jamal Warner, and you see Vanessa come down the steps in the leather jacket. It's like, oh, she's going to see The Wretched. She's going to see The Wretched.
I remember that. I do remember that.
She's going to have big fun in Baltimore.
Oh, look at this. It's really cool. This is cool. On the show, doing it live, ladies and gentlemen. Meow Manifesto just chimed in on the chat, Vince. Finally catching it live. Wanted to let us know that loved the Lean On Me review as a snapshot of that time in history. I never wanted to look at it until I heard you all talk about it. And then she said hi to the entire chat. So that's really cool.
Hey, welcome. And hope you liked the movie.
Yes, hope you did. All right. Well, if I'm looking at the chat, I see that Miss Makiba has chimed in, which means that it's time to get to our review.
All right, that works for me.
Miss Makiba is the signal that it's time to get to the review, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get to our review of Mudbound. But first, it's time for trailer talk. Now, for those new to our live stream, trailer talk is where Vince and I talk about whatever we want to in the spot where the trailer will be plopped or put in. I don't know what. I'm losing all of my words today.
Now, you know this is your movie, right?
I know. I can't be getting tongue-tied now.
You got points. So get yourself together.
So this is what we talk about, whatever we want to do at the spot where the trailer will be playing on the actual podcast episode. And for trailer talk today, me and Vince, if you don't know, you ain't even listening. We are huge geeks.
Yes, we are.
We are huge geeks. So much so, I text Vincent a photo of a 7-pound comic book that I bought this week because who else was I going to show? But anyway,
that's good stuff.
So this past weekend was a banner weekend for if you're a superhero geek, because on HBO Max they are streaming the Bible, aka Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, while on Disney Plus they gave us the premiere of their new short run series, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Which you saw, it's their most streamed episode ever.
Yeah, I did see that, which I'm actually surprised considering how big a hit The Mandalorian was.
That's what I was thinking, but I think that WandaVision momentum.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's coming like mere weeks after WandaVision finished.
Yeah, which kind of built up. So, but yes, what you think of Justice League, Lynn?
Well, we definitely have thoughts about here's what I think about Justice League. Now,
okay, here we go.
First of all, I found it interesting, and you were clowning me about this last week, that I just finished my third rewatch of Hill Street Blues from the 1980s, right?
Yeah, yeah,
and enjoyed every moment of it.
Of course, because
but I found it very interesting that 2021's Zack Snyder's Justice League, in order to, based on the blurb that comes up when you turn it on, in order to maintain Zack Snyder's artistic integrity,
oh my God,
is screened in the same aspect ratio as Hill Street Blues from the 80s.
Yeah.
So Zack Snyder obviously meant for this film to be viewed on a huge Panasonic old style 40-inch TV with the deep back tube. That's what I was thinking. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Then this movie is 4 hours long.
Hey, Lynn, how long was the 10 Commandments?
The 10 Commandments is 3 hours. Godfather is 2.5 hours.
How long is Gone with the Wind?
Gone with the Wind, I believe, is just shy of 3 hours. The Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Reference.
What you say?
That was just as a point of reference.
Right. Zack Snyder's Justice League is 4 hours long. Now, I saw that George Kimona said it was a hell of a movie. No, it's just a hell of a time in hell with this movie. That's what Zack Snyder said. I did not enjoy. There's something. Let me say the two things I enjoyed about Zack Snyder's film.
Okay, go ahead.
One,
the positive.
One, to my great surprise, and I think everybody's great surprise, I actually came away with from this movie, enjoying Ben Affleck as Batman and the relationship that he has with Jeremy Irons' Alfred, who was a totally different Alfred than you have seen in any other iteration of Batman, as far as, on live action or even in animated. This is a totally different Alfred. I liked his Alfred. I liked his relationship with Ben Affleck. I like Ben Affleck as Batman. I like pretty much everything about their dynamic and their portrayals of those characters, right?
Okay.
And while I think, and the other thing that I liked about this movie is that while I think some of the beats are a bit repetitive, I did enjoy the fleshing out of the story of Vic Stone, aka Cyborg. Because one, you can't help it, because it's like the heart of the movie. Not only is his story integral to the movie, it is the heart of the movie. And three, his is probably the most fleshed out story in the film, right? Which explains why the actor who portrays Cyborg, Ray Fisher,
right.
you know, never mind whatever stuff was happening behind the camera. It explains why he was so pissed at the 2017 theatrical release, because so much of his story was just excised from the film. Right? It's like egregious how much of a scalpel they took to his story in that film.
Yeah.
And third thing, I believe that the depiction of Steppenwolf in this version is better than in the theatrical version, and I actually liked their depiction of Darkseid in this film.
Really?
Their whole I didn't mind it. I kind of liked it, from the voice, from the mocap, the character design of him, the character design of Desaad. I actually didn't mind it. It didn't bother me. I enjoyed it. I can't say I enjoyed it, but I didn't hate it. It was cool.
Okay.
Everything else about this movie is either way too long or just not that great. And some like even a little icky. But I'll let you get your thoughts in.
I'll start with my positive. Much like you, I enjoyed the Stone aspect of the film, mainly because, frankly, I thought that was the best acted portion of the film because of Joe Morton.
True.
Like I really, enjoyed as much as you can the Joe Morton. I kind of liked the Arthur Curry, this sort of that whole seaside town aesthetic. Like I kind of liked him almost as a myth.
Okay.
Which you got a touch of it in the theatrical version. You just got more of it in this one.
That's
because
true.
You just got more of everything in this one.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
But that is really it. I thought this was joyless. I thought it was muddy. I thought, and I'm not going to get pulled into my whole Nolan verse rant, but this is yet another example of one of these DC. Like, I don't even think Zack Snyder likes this stuff.
Yeah, me neither.
Like there's no joy in it.
No.
And we got to pivot to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier in a moment. But it's like he literally took Superman's costume and put him in black, and everything is all black and muddy and gray because I don't want to deal with this superhero stuff. I don't want to deal with, like, you talk about, you like Darkseid's design. Not to go too deep into it, but frankly, we're at the point where like Marvel is doing like 80s West Coast Avengers storylines.
Yeah.
So whether people know it or not, they're pretty deep into comic world.
That's right.
It's like there's no respect for the madness of Jack Kirby design. Like, how do you take all of that craziness of the Jack Kirby designs that you see in stuff like Wakanda, that you see in like Asgard, that all respect to those designers, all respect to those costumers like Ruth Carter. But if you look at the source material, it all builds off of that. So how do you take the designs of someone like Jack Kirby, who created this whole language, created all of this stuff, and you just make it just black and gray and shadowy, and the CGI is all dodgy? Like, I like Cyborg's storyline, but the special effects look like they were from like 1998. Like,
they do.
Like,
not even 1998. There's a moment where the Amazons are riding on their horses. I swear it looks like they're riding on prop horses in front of a screen, just moving back and forth behind them. Yeah.
And again, it just, like, you don't have to like this stuff. Like, I know people who I don't watch superhero movies. I don't watch the Marvel stuff.
It's not their jam.
Everything don't have to be everybody's jam.
Right.
But I do think that this sense of joy permeates some of these films.
Mm-hmm.
Where Jon Favreau loved Iron Man. Like you could tell looking at Ryan Coogler loved Black Panther, or at least he loved like the Ta-Nehisi Coates Priest Black Panther stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The whatchamacallit brothers, the Russo brothers.
The Russo brothers.
Like you could tell they read the Ed Brubaker, all the President's Men version of Captain America, basically, with the Winter Soldier. And it just comes through like there's this enthusiasm that I just didn't get. Like it really was just like I text you and it's like, oh my God, like I'm still watching it.
I know.
Like there's just no joy.
And no, go ahead. Go ahead.
As opposed to, we've had 30 minutes of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was like a now and later.
Yeah.
It was like a Jolly Rancher. Like it's just like that. There's that set piece at the very beginning with Falcon flying with the helicopters and all. You could just tell that Malcolm Spellman and everybody on the creative team just said, we are just going to have a ball with it.
Exactly.
Like you're telling me that this man can fly. Well, damn it, we gonna fly.
Right.
Like we are going to fly.
And the difference is that he flew in real time, and you could follow it because you're a good director. You can still show real-time flying, fast cuts, not lose any sense of geography where they are spatially, with the helicopters, with the canyons that he's flying in, and it still gives you a real-world sense of that he's actually flying, as opposed to in Winter Soldier, or in almost everything in the Justice League, and the people are talking about it in the chat. Everything is freaking slow motion. You could lose an hour of this film if you just put things in their regular speed, But
we got to keep it cool. It's got to be cool.
There ain't nothing cool about Lois Lane walking slow motion with a cup of coffee down the street. What heroic journey are we illustrating by putting that in super slow mo? It's nothing cool about it taking 40 seconds for a guy driving a truck to pick up a hamburger that's fallen. Remember the dude that who he drops a hamburger, which is what causes him to crash into Iris.
Right.
Who the Flash rescues, but not before getting a little graze of her cheek.
Right, creepy. And why do the Kents have to lose their farm? Like what is
that made no sense.
Why is this so depressing?
Right, and why is Superman more or less just turned into a gun? Superman is basically a gun that they need to load. But anyway, we've moved on to better stuff. We've moved on to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which, first of all, yes, from that opening salvo, I am with it. Then you've got history in the making, because you have not one, but two Black superheroes on screen having a conversation.
How about that?
With one another, about, and a real conversation about being a superhero in America, when the Falcon is talking to Rhodey, played by Don Cheadle.
So fantastic to see him.
Yes, great moment. And then, I'm not gonna lie, alone in my house, I let out a woohoo when I saw Anapero Oduye.
Isn't that so bizarre?
As his sister. And we just reviewed Pariah.
We talked about her. It was good to see her.
It was so, and she was so good.
And I was about to say, she and Anthony Mackie, like I could watch a show about Sam Wilson trying to save the Wilson Boating Company. Like he only got to put because Anthony Mackie is a great actor.
Yeah.
You ain't got to put the wings on.
Nope.
Like, let's just talk about this boating company and you two go at it.
Yeah. But I mean, I loved it. It's amazing how much in those 30 minutes is packed. Real world, tension, real world, situations, yes, it's a superhero film. It asks some real questions. How do superheroes make money?
Right.
And
right.
even
How
though
about that?
And even though you are a superhero, you still a black dude.
Right.
And you can't get a bank loan. Like Bull wants to take selfie after selfie with you, but he can't okay your loan.
Look, you don't have a work history from the past 5 years.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was real world stuff, because when she kicks it to him, she's like, yo, you was gone for 5 years.
That's right. And I held it together.
I had to hold this together, bruh.
That's right.
That's
right.
It's the other side. It's the other side of that blip that, everybody was like, yes, that movie made $1 billion, but there was some real world implications for that,
Right.
There's real world implications for the Winter Soldier, because he realizing like, this is really my first downtime,
Right.
I went from being a gun myself to having that exercise from me, and then I was a gun for the good guys. Right. Now I'm on DL, and I've got to deal with all these memories and oh man, such a good show.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good
all
stuff. All right.
Aaron Fry said, "You know how mad I was at that loan officer." I know you're right. Aaron. I know. George Kimona said that Batman ain't shit, kills a dude and doesn't take care of his mom. That's trifling. That's right. That's real talk. That's real talk. Least he could have done. I mean, that ain't even a line item.
Right.
Like,
right. Because he took care of it in a throwaway line. He's like, "Oh, I just bought the bank." He's like, "Dude, you couldn't do that. You couldn't have done that 6 months ago."
Yeah, you couldn't keep you could have been on top of that. And here's the other thing. Last thing about.
I was about to say, all right.
Last thing. Because everybody's huzzahing about Harry Lennox as John Jones, the Martian Manhunter in the film. Yeah. And it's kind of cool. I mean, he shows up in the halfway in the film for disguised as Martha Kent. Why? I don't know. Because
what was that?
All of a sudden, he says Lois Lane needs a pick me up, so I'm going to go do this pick me up for her, right? And then he doesn't return till the end of the movie, right? To say here, hey, tell Batman I hear strange things are coming. Let you know you can count on me. I'll be there for you. But bruh, we've already seen you 2 hours ago in the film before the big battle. Right. Why couldn't you show up for the big battle?
Yeah. Now, in pure Warner Brothers screwing everything up tradition, I did read Zack Snyder wanted that to be Jon Stewart showing up, which kind of makes more sense. Like a Green Lantern shows up. Mm-hmm. But Warner Brothers wouldn't let him use a Green Lantern, Jon Stewart. So then he kind of basically shoehorned in Martian Manhunter. So there you go.
Anyway. So that's our thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, on Zack Snyder's Justice League. Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right. So go ahead and watch that if you got that Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's only 5 more episodes. That's the thing.
Yeah. In and out.
All right. Let's get to our review of Mudbound.
All right. Give me the signal.
I will give you the signal, Vince, in just a moment. We're doing this in real time, ladies and gentlemen. So all you people watching this, I gotta be quiet for a little bit. Tracking the tape as we record. On you.
Mudbound, a 2017 film directed by Dee Rees. In the aftermath of World War II, somewhere in the muddy Mississippi Delta, two families, one black, the Jacksons, and the other white, the McGowans, are forced to share the same patch of land, keeping a frail race-based peace with each other. However, as they both struggle with hardship and dire poverty, the long-awaited return of two war veterans, Ronzel, the Jacksons' eldest son, and Jamie, Henry McGowan's younger brother, will unexpectedly nurture a budding friendship that transcends prejudice and race. But in the end, against a backdrop of fevered Mississippi sunsets and racism, life can be hard when the law of the land is still segregation and hatred, and then no one can be safe. Directed by Dee Rees with a screenplay written by Dee Rees and Virgil Williams, Mudbound stars Jason Mitchell, Carey Mulligan, Jason Clarke, Mary J. Blige, and a wonderful appearance by Jonathan Banks. This was the choice of Lynn Webb. Lynn, how would you like to begin our conversation about Mudbound?
Well, I want to begin it, first of all, with the co-writer and director, Dee Rees. We just reviewed her feature film debut a couple of weeks ago, Pariah, which was easily, as I mentioned on that review, one of my favorite films of the last 10 years and already in top 10 of my favorite films of all time. Love that film. So I was very interested in seeing what else she had in store for us from a directing point of view. And doing outside of, she did some smaller projects in between. This is kind of like her big follow-up to Pariah. And it's a very audacious follow-up, as a lot of, well-heeled directors will do. This is a period piece, which brings with it a lot of, challenges, setting tone and getting the place of a story correct. This is a huge ensemble that she is working with, as opposed to like a smaller cast. This is a huge cast, a seasoned cast that she is working with, and not for nothing, she is working with a very respected and well rewarded cinematographer in Rachel Morrison, who did work on Dope, as well as many other films, and most appreciably, she was the cinematographer of choice for Ryan Coogler on Fruitvale Station and on Black Panther. So Dee Rees, for what is her second feature film, was stepping in, she was stepping up in class and project in every way. So I wanted to see how well she was going to be able to carry the baton on this film. And I will say that she carries it very, very well. I think that Mudbound is it's a gorgeous piece of direction and cinematography, even though it is a very dark and appropriately muddy film. Like this film is dank. This film is wet with emotion. It's wet with despair, anger, like it's just drenched in and so heavy, and it permeates everything that is happening in this film, from the footsteps, the clopping in the mud, and the mud just trailing every place. It's very striking to me in watching this film that the scenes that take place in Mississippi, where these two families live, are so dark that when you cut to the two boys of the family, one's a brother, one's a son of the family, but when you cut to their exploits in World War II, it almost looks lighter. It almost looks like crazy. That's the good times. You know what I mean? That's the sunshine. That's the sunshine of this film. When Ronzel is rolling in his tanks, when Jamie is flying in his airplane, even though each time you see them, it's in the midst of heavy combat, but it's a different type. That is blinding action, but the drama and the heartbreak is at home. So this is the combination of the skills of director Dee Rees and Rachel Morrison create a visually stunning and impactful motion picture, right? The story, I will say, is a little bit of a bait and switch to me, because the beginning of the film, you are introduced. The beginning of the film really sets a bit of a tone, because it's set in this heavy storm. There's always a storm on this farm, but it's set in this heavy storm where these two white men are trying to bury their father, and there is a sense that one may betray the other for reasons unbeknownst to you, and then they come across these black sharecroppers who work on the land, and there's a sense of uneasiness between them, and you don't know where that stems from. And then it cuts to, it goes back in time, and it cuts to the origin of, more or less, the Jason Clarke character. It cuts to him as a businessman. He is Henry, and he's a businessman, and he comes across this young lady, and you see him fall in love and decide to forgo business because he wants to buy a farm, because he believes in the promise of the American dream to be your own man and things of this nature. And you spend a lot of time with him getting to that point where I was left with, okay, is this, what's this film doing? Is this mostly about this family? But then you cut to the Jacksons, which are the black sharecroppers, which is played by Mary J. Blige, as you mentioned, and I think a very unheralded performance by Rob Morgan as Hap Jackson.
That's right.
Rob Morgan, a name and a face that has appeared many times in Black cinema recently, and a couple of times here on the Mission as well.
He was in Pariah.
Exactly. It as a totally different face. He totally it's totally different character. So he's not a man that's stuck in one speed. But then you turn into these sharecroppers, and they're just trying to eke out their existence on this muddy farm and just trying to sow as much hopefulness out of their experience as they can, right? And I was like, okay, all right, I see. We're going to be seeing the juxtaposition between these two families, and that juxtaposition and how the families lives become entangled with one another. It's very interesting. However, I don't think it is the most original story. I mean, it's a story that I've seen a couple of other times in other pieces of fiction, whether it be on film or on TV. So I'm left with, then what is the difference? And the difference there lies in, like I said, the direction of Dee Rees and the cinematography of Rachel Morrison, but primarily in the performances, in the acting. And the acting, the life that everyone in this film, Jason Clarke as Henry, who's just I don't know, I want to say he's just this helpless optimistic, but I think he's just a bit of a boob and a bit of a I don't even know how to describe his character, but he's swindled. He's easily swindled. He is a unromantic person. I don't want to say loveless, because I think he actually does have affection for the people in his life, be it his wife, be it his brother, be it his father, but he's unromantic in how he expresses that. He's just a plain spoken guy. He's married to a wife who is a plain spoken woman who longs for more. His brother, played by Garrett Hedlund, is a man returned from war with many deep scars inside of him that are just bleeding to the surface. That is it. And then you pointed out Jonathan Banks as their father, Pappy, who is just the depiction of Mississippi in the late 40s, early 50s. And that is what he is. He's old, he's cantankerous, he's nasty, he's blunt, and he's to the marrow racist. 100%. It's that racist that you appreciate because you know exactly what you're getting. Like, there's no falseness with that man.
Ooh, that's pure racism right there.
That's right. That's right. You see what that say right there in my arm? Racist. You know what I mean? So, and Jonathan Banks is doing the work. Rest in peace. I actually think we lost him not too long ago. And then I mentioned Rob Morgan, Jason Micheaux, who is an actor I've heard many things about. And
Jonathan Banks is alive. He's on Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. Easy.
No, he was on Breaking Bad, and he was on. I thought I read that he had.
Don't be killing Jonathan Banks.
Okay, and then it was the wrong name. It was the wrong name.
Oh, easy. Slow down with that. All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Vince. Okay. I apologize. I thought I saw that the man had passed away, but he had not. I apologize.
Better Call Saul is coming on in a few months, hopefully.
Okay. All right. Calm down. Yes, Sharon Eldridge. I will not Abe Vigoda Jonathan Banks. My bad. My bad. So then you have Jason Micheaux as Ronzel, who is an actor. Actually, while I'm familiar with the name and I've seen him once or twice, I haven't really sat down and focused and seen a full Jason Micheaux performance. and he is a very captivating actor in this. He and his character Ronzel is filled with, there is a anger that is just like boiling inside of him that cannot be released. It just can't be released to the detriment of him. Sharon Eldridge has reminded me that Jason Micheaux was in Straight Outta Compton. You don't want to hear what I thought about Straight Outta Compton. So,
but he was good in it.
He was good in it. He was good in it. One of the, you know, but this is he actually is just. But as much as he has the anger in him, he also shows the wistfulness of a young person who had to leave their first love. You know what I mean? And I actually appreciated that. I appreciated his performance. I talked about Rob Morgan, and I am all here for the second coming of Mary J. Blige. Let me tell you, man, I am a huge Mary J. Blige fan. That there are few singers I have every album in their discography. Mary J. Blige is one of them.
She's the queen of hip hop soul.
And I have, you know, I haven't seen all of her acting work, but when I do see Mary J. Blige act, I am always pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoy her. And that means I enjoyed her just kicking ass in Umbrella Academy, and she is almost unrecognizable in this film as Mary J. Blige. She just comes across as the most seasoned of character actors that I've ever seen in this movie, and it is no surprise that she was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress because of her role in this film. And it is that group of actors and the life that they give to this movie, which like I said, I don't think the story is super original. The shame of that is because this is a story as old as time, you know, coming home and finding that, oh, you're still a black man, coming home a veteran and dealing with PTSD and falling into alcoholism and everything else. It's a story that's been told over and over again, but their performances, coupled with the images that Dee Rees and Rachel Morrison craft around them, is what makes this an exceptional piece of work.
Yeah. This is a case of, I'm so happy that we both get to pick movies, because I would never ever have chosen this.
I know.
Because I hate these movies.
I know.
You know, I hate these dirt road period piece, you know, down in the South, something like, I hate these movies. And it is a testament to how good this movie is that it works so well. And like you, I think it works for a lot of reasons that speak to the quality of the overall product. You know, I won't repeat what you said. I think Dee Rees's direction is exceptional. It's exceptional. We talked about it in Pariah, just the way she stages scenes, just the way she works with her actors. All of it is amazing. Much like you, I think the acting is sublime. I thought Jason Micheaux was fantastic. I thought Mary J. Blige was fantastic. Jonathan Banks can do no wrong with me, frankly.
He rose from the grave.
You know, he rose from the grave. And of all of them, I thought Jason Clarke was a revelation. I thought Henry was the most fascinating character that I have seen in a film in a really long time. And the reason for that is something that I will talk about. I think the screenplay is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the screenplay is amazing. The adapted screen, was nominated for an Academy Award, which this is one of the times I think the Academy got it right. Part of the reason I think this film works so well within the context of, as you said, we have seen this before,
mm-hmm.
is because A, I think it plays fair. Like when the film comes on, and again, talking about the direction, talking about the choices that Dee Rees makes, as you said, that opening scene, it's the two brothers digging this grave for their father. Jamie, the younger brother, black eye, which lets you know he's been in the fight. There's that wonderful exchange talking about the screenplay where they're digging a hole before the storm. There's a storm coming, and Jamie is in the hole, and it starts raining, and the water starts to rise. His older brother says, "I'm going to go and get a ladder," and Jamie starts to panic.
Yeah.
And when his brother comes back and gets him out, Jamie says, "I thought you were going to leave me down there." And his brother says, "Why would you think that?" And the way that the actors say the lines, the way that Dee Rees stages it, the way she holds it for a beat, you understand there's more going on there with that.
Mm-hmm.
The Jacksons are leaving town, and there's a reference to something bad happening. So from the very beginning, you know that those familiar beats are going to get hit,
right?
In like you see in one of these films. I like the fact that it all kind of made sense. Like this plot element that that Ronzel has gone off to war and he's come back and he's got new sensibilities about his role in the war. I mean, this is all historically accurate. It happened after World War I. It happened after World War II, where these black soldiers went overseas, came back, and they were not with the shits. And then that led to these conflicts. So that makes perfect sense. What we know about PTSD, even though you have these cultural mores and this sort of caste system in place, Ronzel and Jamie are both soldiers dealing with what we now know as PTSD. It makes sense that would bond them.
Exactly.
You talk about the choice that Dee Rees makes, where after that initial scene, we get almost 15 minutes just with the White family. But I think that was such a smart decision, because what that does is it establishes that each of the characters has their own voiceover, which basically tells you about them. And I love the fact that these white characters, through the lens of this black creator, are humanized in a way that we don't see white characters in like this. Like, white characters in this type of movie are either demons and devils, or they're these angelic allies.
You're right. You're right. I will give you that. Yeah.
And the wonderful thing about setting them up first is that you see they have their own stuff going on. They have, and the reason I love Henry so much is because this character is in the center of all of these different perspectives. Like you said, he gets swindled by this other white man. His father is amazingly disrespectful to him. He's sort of, like his brother's just smoother than him. Like, his brother is just super charming and super engaging. And Henry is just like you can tell he's just sort of a hard-working, straight arrow guy.
Right.
But like, he's not really a ladies' man at all.
No. No,
He's
not at all.
very much this sympathetic character when you see him through the eyes of the white characters. But I love how there is menace to his presence
Mm-hmm.
when the black characters see him. Like, I love there's a moment right after he gets swindled and his father calls him stupid, and he's almost sad, sack, and pitiful.
Mm-hmm.
The next scene, he goes to the farm and he knocks on the door of the Jackson's house. It's at night, they're eating dinner, and just amazingly casually, he tells this other grown man, you got to get up and come and help me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a white man and I own this land that you have. And he's not calling nobody a nigger, and he ain't trying to lynch nobody. And you don't get the sense that that's even him.
That's not him. That's not him.
But he's a product of this world.
Exactly.
And in this world, a white man has this power over black people, and it's not even worth acknowledging. Like, he speaks to him like a child. So that I love how Henry and the performance by Jason Clarke, who captures all of these different dimensions of this character depending on who's looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
I love how Henry really is almost the center spoke, the center wheel that all the other spokes stick out of. And you see how he is like how people's relationship with this world are reflected off of how he is in any given scene. And I think it's a wonderful performance, and it's this wonderful fusion of the screenplay, the performance, and the direction.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And ironically, the only misstep in the film, like the only part of the film where I said, Dee Rees copped out a little bit. I don't think it's a spoiler to say, especially since they allude to it in the very first scene, that something bad happened. I'll just say something bad happened.
Well, yeah.
Racially. I did not like the fact that Henry is out of town when it happens.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
Like,
yeah.
I really wanted to see this character who, again, he's not like his father. Like, he's not frothing at the mouth, racist, and you got to use the back door and this, that, and the other. But at the same time, he's also not his brother,
mm-hmm.
who's kind of, iconoclastic, or his wife, who's
right.
not from this. Like, he is a product of this world. And I would have loved to have seen him navigate this lynching situation. And how he would, because this is a character, again, that you see throughout the film.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of, you don't know what to do. Like he's not a good guy, but he's not a bad guy. Like, he's just a man. And I just thought he was a wonderful character. And in my mind, like, that elevated the whole film for me.
Yeah. I see what well, first of all, I hadn't looked at his character from that point of view, from that lens, and you're right. I do see how he is the spoke that spins the story from everyone's different perspective, especially because, like you said, at that moment when he knocks on the door for Hap to come help him with the luggage, and to the moment when Hap, who proves your axiom that sometimes you're too old to be on a ladder. I was thinking about you. I was thinking about you when I saw that scene when Hap falls off the ladder. But to the scene when Henry visits Hap and basically tells him that you're going to rent my mule so that you can get the crops down on time. In that one moment, he is, in his mind, as being depicted, being a good guy, but also being a cut and dry businessman, right? because yeah, Hap, I came to check on you. I hope you get better, but we ain't friends. You work here, and this is how this is going to get done, you know?
Right.
And by the letter of the law, he's not, by the letter of the law of the time, he's not wrong. He's doing what he probably didn't have to do. Because there's some who would just say, well, you got to get up out of here. You know what I mean?
Well, he threw the white family off the land.
True, exactly. So, yeah, I do like that. I'm with you. I see what you're saying about the slight cop out of him not being there for the whole lynching thing. But one, it plays fair because there is a line given to his character always being out of town when bad stuff happens. There's a line given to that earlier in the film. And two, he is a character who, despite the unintended menace of his presence, sometimes from the Black point of view, is woefully unobservant about what is going on. Like, he does not see tension. He does not see what's happening between his brother and his wife. He doesn't see what's happening between his brother and Ronzel. He turns a blind eye to the blatant racism of his father and just assumes that, hey, this is just the life that we live in, let's just get along, will just mask some of that stuff. So it makes sense that whatever tension is permeating, he's totally oblivious to it. And he's like, oh, I got to go. I'm business first. I got to take care of the house. It means I got to be on the road to go take care of whatever I got to take care of. And then three, from a story point of view, if he is there, I think you might be able to call into question what role his character might have played in that whole scene. You're not quite sure. But I think if he's there, you run the risk of villainizing him more than you really want to villainize that character at that moment, especially at that moment in the story. Like to turn the worm on him at that moment, to have him be the villain, I think it actually is more powerful that he probably can't even imagine that something like this would happen. And to be quite honest, it's very ambiguous of whether or not he knows what really happened.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because you don't get the sense that he truly knows what happened to Ronzel, and what happened to, well, we know he doesn't know what happened between Jamie and his wife. He's just still oblivious even at the end.
It was such a wonderful moment when he brings Hap in the truck, and he has that great, again, I love the screenplay where he just, the casual racism of him telling his father he has to move over in the truck so that Hap can sit in the truck, because certainly Hap can't ride in the car with my white wife and my children. Like, that's, and it's so breezy the way he does it. Like, I was curious to see how he would deal with the picture of Ronzel's biracial child and the white one. Like, you knew this was a time bomb. Like, it's like Chekhov's biracial child.
Right.
And again, Jonathan Banks' character is he played him brilliantly, but he's pretty one note.
Yes.
The other Klansmen, again, pretty one note. But as we've talked, it's appropriately enough, because we were talking about Uptight, and every time I think about Uptight, I also think about Nothing Like a Man. Like, those are my two marquee films that I've discovered through this show. And in Nothing Like a Man, we talked about the casual racist.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody wasn't dragging people out of their beds and lynching them and setting them on fire. Like, that was a special dude. That dude.
Right, right.
But the vast majority, you're just a product of this system.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, that was Henry. So in a lot of ways, Henry is more dangerous than his father.
Yeah.
And again, I thought Dee Rees' directions did a great. Like, every time there was a on the door, it's Henry.
Mm-hmm.
But the way the scene is staged, the way the actors react to it, there's nothing good on the other side of that door, no matter how friendly he is. And you know, I want you to come work for me. I need you to come and help me. This, that, and the other. But this is not a good situation. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of wanted to see that. But you're right. I think you're right. And if anything, this is a case of, I thought the creation of this character was so good and so nuanced. I just wanted to see more of it. Like, now I want, like, what would Henry be like in space? I wonder if Henry can swim. Does Henry like sushi? Like, I just had questions about Henry because I thought he was such a wonderful character. A couple of things talking about the script. There's some wonderful, like I said, there are all these monologues, and there are some wonderful speeches in here. Like Rob Morgan's character talking about land.
Oh, yes, and about deeds.
And deeds. It was just glorious, just him talking about it. We haven't talked about her much. Carey Mulligan.
Yes.
Basically almost a school marm who gets moved to, because she's not really a country girl like this. Her monologue about being surrounded by death and dead animals was amazing.
Yeah.
And there were all of it. Mary J. Blige talking about her character loving her children. All of these characters have these wonderful speeches that work because they're sort of interior monologues, and again, it's just a really well put together film that on paper I should hate.
Think of how much we have, more than a couple of times here, we have frowned on voiceovers. And this is a movie that dares to give you multiple voiceovers, multiple points of view, yet it always works. It works, and it really is smart. You talking about the speeches? I loved Mary J. Blige's speech. It was so honest about how she, while Ronzel was away at war, she only, she loved her father, she loved her husband, she loved every one of her kids, but I only prayed for him. I only prayed for Ronzel, and the Lord will forgive me. And that was real. That's real, dog. That's real talk. And then she talked about how, she didn't want to, you didn't want to see him leave. And she knew, every inch, every beat of him. And then that is echoed in the end after you see the tragedy that happens to him. Just like I said, man, like Mary J. Blige, I was already a fan of her as an actress, but she was just a revelation. In this film, man. Yeah, good stuff. That's real. I mean, wow, man. Yeah, I like you pointing that out about Jason Clarke, that point of view. That actually hadn't occurred to me. And he's another one. He's another actor who I find every time I see him, he just does good work. He's just a
He's
good
good.
actor.
He's really, really good. And like you said, it kind of sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
It kind of sneaks up on you. It was so pleasant seeing him. Again, Rob Morgan, who I'm a big fan of. I was so happy for him that he played Turk in all the Netflix Marvel shows. Like, he was the only character that showed up in each of the shows, and I was so happy that he got that shine.
Yeah. And I will say, having just watched him in, I'm pretty sure it was The Photograph, the Issa Rae, Lakeith Stanfield movie. And he's like the best.
Right.
He's the best thing in that movie.
Right, because he plays the older character of my man that you just talked about.
Yeah, Wyland Noel. Right. He plays him older. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Rob Morgan is very good.
Very good. Very good.
Very good.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot. And I think we are purposefully, while we're hitting on some viewpoints of the film, we're not trying to give too much of it away, because, or at least I'm not, because it's a film that I suspect there are a lot of people like you, Vince, that you see this movie, you either watch the trailer or you hear about it, and you either get the sense of that this is I'm not in the mood for this type of film right now. I've seen this before. I don't need to go back to this type of story or to this time. I don't need that. And I just telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that as much as some of the beats might be familiar, the whole package is something that is worthy of viewing and worthy to be praised. You will.
Well, the last thing I will say about the direction, and that is, and again, I don't think it's a spoiler because it tells you from the very beginning something bad is going to happen. This is one of the best calibrated films that we've talked probably since Menace to Society, which does the tension dials up.
Okay. Yeah.
Moment by moment. It is so well calibrated. How it's almost like I don't even want to say a slow train wreck, because a train wreck has an explosion, but it's almost like this dance of tension. Where each moment the characters are moving closer and closer to this last moment.
Well, you actually just illustrated when you said like the tightening up of a bow, or the strings on a guitar, or even maybe more to the point like a violin, until it just reached that note where it really all comes together, and it's just like crescendos, the music just comes out, and that really is a very horrific,
right. But you almost like the crazy thing is, I'm talking about Menace to Society, but it's almost like that moment in Get Out, where when it happens, it's almost like a release.
Yeah,
like
because you knew.
Right, and it's like, I'm just glad we got to this moment. But again, I think that is testament to the direction.
Yes.
Like, that's purely the direction. How she kind of manages to keep you there. And even if I didn't have to watch this, I had to see where it landed.
Yeah.
So the question, as always, Lynn, would you recommend Mudbound?
I would highly recommend Mudbound. I would recommend Mudbound unabashedly to people. It's an experience. I'm going to say that. There are some films that, like, oh man, you got to get through it, and you come out on the other side and you just feel like, no, this movie, it takes you places, but it leaves you someplace as well. And you are you are you're affected by where it leaves you, but I don't think you're affected in the way that you think you will be.
True.
And that is a testament to all of the creatives who worked to put this film together.
I agree. I think the sheer quality of this film makes it transcend those of us who have reservations about this. I think this is a film that there are situations, but this never falls into this sort of race trauma porn that you get. And I suspect that part of that is frankly because Dee Rees is black. And you don't get the sense that she's interested in that.
No.
Like I said, the characters are amazing. I think the characters are amazing. I'm going to keep saying, I think this character, Henry, is one of the best depictions of a white man in this system that I've ever seen on screen.
Right.
And, you know, frankly, I'll be adding him to my own lexicon when we talk about whiteness through a black lens, like we do oftentimes. And she's really kind of Dee Rees and the screenplay has really kind of set my new benchmark for that.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I would absolutely recommend this film.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So check out Mudbound. It is streaming, and it's streaming someplace you got. I know you got it. We're not going to give a free plug, but trust me, I know you have where it's streaming. So go watch Mudbound. It's probably sitting on your list, and you're like, I don't know.
It's like Mary J. Blige in that hat, and you're like, yeah, I don't know about this.
Right. Trust me. Check it out. Because there's some moments there's some cool moments of black love in this.
Right.
What'd you say?
Mary don't look like she in the dancery in this.
No. But there's some cool moments of black love. There's a nice little moment where Rob Morgan is sharing a little dance.
Yeah.
There's love in this film. And so I peeped it. I love it. All right. Before we tell you what we're going to be watching next week, ladies and gentlemen, what we'll be reviewing next week, I invite you all to, if you have any thoughts and concerns, you can get in on our Facebook group. You can also email us. Send your emails to the micheauxmission@gmail.com. Like and follow us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Subscribe on YouTube to @Micheaux Mission. Hit us up. And you can go to the micheauxmission.com, 2 Men, 1 Podcast, every black film ever made, and hit swag, where you can check out all of the cool designs that we have available to you by way of our good friends at TeePublic. You can also become a subscriber to the Micheaux Mission Dispatch, our weekly newsletter that gives people an updates on what's going on in the world of the Micheaux Mission. The Micheaux Mission is a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com, curated podcast for your earbuds and listening pleasure. And for 2 more weeks, the Micheaux Mission is available on 106.5 FM, People Power Media, Philly Cam. Here in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection every Saturday at 1 p.m. and on Mondays at 9 a.m. on 91.7 FM, the WKDU FM, the voice of Drexel University. All right. I believe that is all the plugs. So next week, it is Vincent's turn at the table to take the lead on the mission. What will we be reviewing next week, Vincent?
Well, we talked about the untimely passing of Cicely Tyson. And this is a film that I like her in. Basically, we'll talk about it, but I like her role in this film as a love interest. It is a film I have great fondness for. We will see if that fondness is based on the quality of the film or other aspects of the film experience, and that would be Bustin' Loose from
81, I believe.
1981. So Bustin' Loose, Richard Pryor, Cicely Tyson, a bunch of kids
On a bus.
On a bus. Soundtrack by Roberta Flack. Next week on the Micheaux Mission.
All right. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, please be safe, be well. And he's Vince. I'm Len. And in parting, we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.